In today's video, I'm answering your frequently asked questions about the Google Pixel. Let's get right into it. Hello friends, welcome back to another Google Pixel video. I am so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're enjoying these videos so far. I've been trying my best to post a Google Pixel video every single week since I got the Google Pixel 10 Pro, which is right over here. And in today's video, I figured that I would answer your top 5 most frequently asked questions over the past few weeks. I have been receiving a lot of comments, a lot of questions, and I figured if I picked 5 different questions, we can cover a lot of topics in just one video. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. And thank you in advance for anyone who has been commenting really positively, have been asking me questions. I've been checking all of the comments as much as I possibly can and keeping note of anyone who asks a question, because I think going forward I might do this on a monthly basis. I might do monthly Q&A videos, or I might do a live. Let me know if you're into live streams on YouTube. Maybe I'll do like live Q&As, but I am making note of everything that you send, and I appreciate everyone who has been positive thus far. So like I said, I have 5 questions. I'm going to jump right into the first question, and the first question is one that I'm getting a lot, but I have answered in the past. It's okay, I'm going to answer it again, but that question is, why, as a Westerner, as an American, am I so interested in Google Pixel devices and not iPhones? And I think this is a really fair question, because I have noticed, and it's like a phenomenon almost, that Americans are absolutely obsessed with iPhones. And for me, my background with it is that, one, I've never had an iPhone before. There is one caveat there. I think back when it was like the iPhone 11 era, I had gotten an iPhone 10, so I got an old iPhone at the time, and it was specifically for work purposes. It was like a work phone, and it was supplementary to the Google Pixel device that I had at the time. And I used it for a couple of months, I would say maybe 3-4 months, and then I no longer needed it as a work phone. So I really used it casually and not as my main device, and then I stopped using it completely after 3 or 4 months. So long story short, I've never really used an iPhone. I've never been interested in iPhones. I've had so many friends have iPhones. Obviously, almost everyone around me has an iPhone, and I've played around with it, but it's never been a device that has been super interesting to me personally. And to go back a little bit more and provide context, when I was growing up and I got my first cell phones, they were completely different than the phones that we have nowadays that are just very, very similar touchscreen type of phones. And at the time, I was super interested in experimenting with all sorts of different cell phones. So I would say maybe every month, and this was like late high school going into college, every month I would go on eBay and find a new cell phone. And it was very easy to do that. It was very easy to select from a large curation of cell phones back in the day, because they were all drastically different from one another. And so I would do that, and I would experiment with all sorts of like hardware and buttons and software and stuff like that. And I really got into Android in that way, because Android tends to be the most, I would say, innovative and inventive and creative when it comes to building out cell phones, especially back in the day. And so because I love the freedom and fluidity of Android, I've always stuck with Android. So after I went through that entire phase and we got closer into like the modern day kind of smartphones that look like this, that look like one giant screen and it's all touch screen, I got into Samsung Galaxy phones, and I had Samsung Galaxy phones every single year, I believe up until the 7. I think I remember my last Samsung Galaxy having the little sidebar on the side of the screen where you can like touch it really lightly and you can see notifications just off like the side of the phone. I don't remember which one that was. I think it was the 7. And since then, I stopped using Samsung Galaxy phones, because at the time, I know this is not the case anymore, but at the time they were really glitchy. They would have a lot of performance issues after a few months, like 6 months or so. It would start to lag when I would use the phone. And so I was getting sick and tired of dealing with that with Samsung again back then, long time ago, over 10 years ago. And that's when I started exploring a different device, and that's when I came across the Google Pixel device. It hadn't released at that time just yet, but tech YouTubers were starting to talk about it, and that was the very first Pixel, the very first Google Pixel, like 1, if you will. and I was really interested in it because it was an Android, but it was very clean, it was very aesthetic and very simplified in terms of what the Samsung Galaxy is. And so I went with it back then, and I fell in love with Pixels from that moment. And I've been getting a Pixel device every single year since then because I keep a close eye on them and I keep a close eye on their camera performance. And again, I really love the clean aesthetic vibe of the Google Pixel devices while also still enjoying Android. Obviously now it's been 10 years and things have changed in terms of the camera and all of the other things and what have you. So, my first initial reasons for getting into Pixels may not be super applicable now, but I still really, really love Google Pixel devices. And I will continue to follow Google Pixel devices if they continue to be innovative and fun and cool and also clean and aesthetic. Okay, that was kind of a long-winded answer to that question, but the next question is about battery life. Everybody's been asking me all sorts of different questions about the battery life. Basically, how has the battery been now that I've used the device for a few weeks, if not a month by now? And I still stand by my initial thoughts with this battery in that the battery is solid. It's pretty good. It's not stellar. It's not like, oh my gosh, the most amazing phone battery I've ever seen in my life. It's like impressive, exceptional, but it gets the job done. I am someone that uses my phone really, really heavily, especially on social media, like scrolling on social media and taking photos and videos and editing those photos and videos and then posting those photos and videos across many platforms all on the device. And so that is really, really draining on the battery. So for me personally, depending on the day, and maybe I'll do a full dedicated video on this, I'm just trying to figure out how to do it best. But for me, on average, if it's a heavy use day, if I'm posting a lot, I will get to like 40% by like 4, 5 o'clock, which is not too bad because 40% isn't dead. But I do start to get a little funky when I see that the battery's at 40%. I don't know why specifically that number, but like I start to think about the battery consumption once I'm at that level. One, because I might be out and about, and so I won't have access to a charger, which is not necessarily true. I do have, portable chargers with me. But two, like, I just want to ensure that I can use the phone for the remainder of the day, without having to charge it, mostly because I don't want to charge it multiple times throughout the day. But with all that being said, again, the battery is pretty solid. Some days it will last longer than that. Some days it will last way less than that. Like if I'm constantly on my phone all day for hours at a time, and this does happen, I will get to 50% by like 1 p.m. So again, it really does depend on the usage. It depends on what you're doing on the phone. But for me, those numbers to me just indicate a solid battery. It's fine. It charges up really fast. It charges up really well. I don't have like big issues with it. It's just not a stellar standout battery, if that makes sense. So I think it will do the job for any user, honestly, unless you're like extremely much more heavy of a user of your phone than I am, which I will argue is hard to do because as a content creator and a social media manager, I'm constantly on my phone. So hopefully that's helpful. The next question is, do I need or do you need to upgrade if you have any of the Pixel devices in the 9 series? So upgrading from the 9 to the 10 or the 9 Pro to the 10 Pro or the 9 Pro XL to the 10 Pro XL. Do you need to upgrade? And right now at this given moment, again, I like to do a full-fledged review at 6 months, at my 6-month use mark. But right now I'll have to say, no, you do not need to upgrade. You are totally 100% fine if you have the Google Pixel 9 series. You don't need to upgrade to the 10 series at all. And to be honest with you, when I first started using this device, I really told myself, like, I really didn't need to upgrade to the 10 series. For me, a big reason why I do upgrade from one to the other is the camera. And so for me, I haven't seen a substantial difference for me to really validate the fact that I upgraded. So hopefully that insight and my perspective on it is helpful, but I really do not think that if you have any of the phones in the 9 series that it's absolutely necessary to move on to the 10 series. Maybe if you get it on sale and you really want to check out some of the new things, but a lot of the things, if not most of the things that are brand new on the Google Google Pixel 10 series is software based, and so chances are you're going to get most, if not all of those things updated and added to your current device anyway. Okay, the next question is kind of a joke of a question, but I will answer it anyway. I've been getting it so often, and for some reason I always get it. I get it with every single device for the past few years. People are asking me if this is the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. And my answer, yet again, is no, this is not the XL. This is the Google Pixel 10 Pro in the standard size. People really think that I'm lying for some reason. I don't know why you would think that I would lie about that, but it's the Google Pixel 10 Pro in the standard size. I will show you the color. It is the Jade color. And I know it looks gigantic, but guys, I promise you, I know the phone that I have in my hand. It is the Google Pixel 10 Pro in the standard size. I know how much I paid for it. So yes, this is the Google Pixel 10 Pro in the standard size, in the color Jade, and the size that I got is 256 gigs. So yeah, so far, also, I'll just throw in a side note, with the 256 gigs, I haven't had issues. I usually tend to go with the smallest amount of gigs, and that's like 128. This one that I got, the Jade, did not have the option to do 128 gigs, so I had no choice but to get the 256, and to be honest with you, it was worth it because I was constantly running out of space with the 128 gigs, so hopefully that's helpful as well. Okay, and then the last question that I have is something that I kind of touched upon with a previous question, but it is, how is the camera compared to the Google Pixel 9 Pro? I've done a video on this already on the channel, so you can go back a little bit and you can see that I did a dedicated video of Google Pixel 9 Pro versus Google Pixel 10 Pro. I tried to get the best examples that are very similar in terms of photos and videos because I'm not a tech YouTuber, so I didn't have the 9 Pro and the 10 Pro in my hands at the same time. I purchased the Google Pixel 10 Pro and I traded in my Google Pixel 9 Pro. So when I had the Google Pixel 10 Pro, I no longer had the Google Pixel 9 Pro. So I really couldn't do side-by-side comparisons. One day, if I'm ever sponsored by Google and they would send me some test devices to do test videos for you, that would be fantastic, but today is not that day, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So for now, I have to do my best with using comparison photos based off of my camera roll and trying to find the most similar pictures in comparison from that device to this current device. Long story short, there is a very, very minimal difference between the photos and videos from the Google Pixel 9 Pro and the Google Pixel 10 Pro. Very, very slight. There are certain contrasts. It's a little bit more contrasty, a little bit more saturated on the Google Pixel 10 Pro when it comes to photos. And when it comes to videos, I would say there's a touch more smoothness on the Google Pixel 10 Pro compared to the Google Pixel 9 Pro. But again, very, very minimal, not super substantial. In my opinion, not substantial enough to need to upgrade from the 9 Pro to the 10 Pro if you are focused on camera stuff. Okay, friends, those are the questions that I selected for this video. 5 questions. Hopefully my answers were helpful, insightful, and once again, when I answer these questions, I don't answer them because like I'm some super tech expert. I'm answering them based off of my personal use, my personal experience with the Google Pixel devices, and like I said at the start of the video, I've had every single Google Pixel device from every single series since the first one. I've had the Google Pixel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Pro, 7 Pro, 8 Pro, 9 Pro, 10 Pro. So with that being said, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you so, so much. I appreciate the positive comments as well, and I will talk to you in the next video.